I'm about to say something that I never thought I was gonna say in a million years. I've actually fallen in love with the Canon EOS R. Now, many of you may know that you've watched some of my videos that I've been shooting on Sony for 4 years. Now, in previous videos, I said 5, but I meant 4. I picked up this A7R2 to take photos of my daughter because I didn't want to pay the $2,000 for photography. Now listen, I'm not saying they're not worth it. They're absolutely worth it if you can find the right person. But listen, it was something that I was interested in. So 4 years on Sony. And honestly, I've never even given Canon a look besides their point and shoot. So, you know, I've been looking at Canon quite a lot lately because I've been wanting a new camera. And I was debating between the A6400 and the EOS R. And luckily I went with the EOS R to just experience what the Canon colors and the flip out screen. That was really the reason I picked up the Canon EOS R. And boy, I'm gonna admit, I'm extremely happy that I actually picked up the Canon EOS R. When it comes to content creating, I don't think there's a better camera, and I'm just being completely honest. Now listen, is the A7 III spec-wise on paper better than the Canon EOS R? Absolutely. When you look at the specs, you're like, well, why would I ever buy the EOS R? That's because it doesn't tell the whole story, guys. There's more to a camera that doesn't show up on a spec sheet. Like color science, there ain't no place on a freaking spec sheet that talks about color science. You're talking about image quality, you're talking about file sizes, you're talking about the sensor. I mean, you're talking about those types of things, and battery life, and so on and so on and so on. That's what they're talking about when you're looking at a spec sheet. But it doesn't tell you if the freaking menu's crap, which I can admit, I love Sony to death, but the menu's terrible. Anyone can tell you. I don't have to ramble on about that. But listen, the 1080p is amazing. The 1080p all eye in 23 frames per second, 30 frames per second, and anything like that. This camera is amazing. I love the 1080p that comes out of this thing. Now listen, when it comes to 1080p, we know that Sony's the king, right? We don't have to go into specs. If you need the specs, you probably want to go to a different channel or look at something online, because by now you should know the specs. It's been well over a year since both of these cameras came out. But I think both of these cameras serve two different purposes. Now listen, A7 III, a lot of content creators have them online. There's no denying that. But just in my opinion, and again, I'm a nobody. I'm just someone that is trying my best to get a foot in the door when it comes to cinematography and videography and things like that. I just feel that this camera it just offers much more when it comes to time and value. Now, and when I say time and value, for example, when it comes to content creating, when you want to expose yourself on the A7 III, well, guess what? You have to stand in front of the camera, press the record button, see if you're properly exposed, stop the record, go behind, press the play button, check the exposure. Okay, if it's not right, well, guess what? You adjust the exposure, you do it all over again. You get back in front of the camera, stop the recording, look at it. Listen, I don't have to do that with the EOS R. There's a freaking flip out screen. And Sony, guess what? That is the point of a flip out screen. It's so I can properly expose myself. Okay, that didn't sound right, but you know what I mean. You know what I mean. So I can adjust lighting, okay? I'm gonna say that because that just doesn't sound right when I say it. Listen, Sony, that's what the freaking flip out screen is for, okay? And it's just not about the flip out screen, guys. It's really not. It's far more. The freaking menu system is way better in the EOS R. There's a built-in time-lapse feature that creates the freaking video for you. It saves you so much time. And that's why I love the Canon EOS R. This bad boy is saving me a lot of time. And I can churn and burn. Now, yes, I know I haven't been making videos lately, and it has a lot to do with my daughter not wanting to be in them. And I think I've said it in another video. But I have everything built in that I need right here. Built-in time-lapse feature that will create the video for me. Like, if you want to do that in Sony, well, guess what? You have to take those, it does the time-lapse for you, or it takes all of the photos. Well, guess what? You have to take it to Lightroom, edit the freaking photos. Well, you can obviously, select all and edit the photo. And guess what? You have to make another file to put it into Premiere Pro and then download it into Premiere Pro. That's crazy. All I have to do on this is basically just create the time lapse inside the camera, throw it right in Premiere Pro, because this bad boy will make the movie file for me internally. That saves me so much time. And that was part of the reason why I didn't even use that feature for Sony, because it wasn't worth my time. I would have much rather just shot a 30-minute video and just sped it up. That's how bad I don't like the Sony intervalometer crap. Make the movie inside of the camera, Sony. If Canon can do it, you can do it. But guys, listen, this camera is a lot lighter than the Sony. This is, I mean, by far lighter than the Sony. And that matters, especially when you're holding and extending your arm out like this with a gimbal. Well, not a gimbal, but with a GorillaPod or any type of tripod, portable tripod. That matters, because over time your arms get tired. And guys, listen, the freaking flip out screen matters. It absolutely matters. It does. I mean, it saves me so much time at the end of the day. And again, I don't want to shoot in 4K. We know Sony is amazing when it comes to 4K. It's basically 6K downscaled to 4K. But I want a camera that I can use and be quick about it. And that's what this offers for me, the EOS R. The 1080p is amazing. I am basically getting 150 megabits per second in all-eye, where Sony is not giving me 150 megabits. They're giving me 100 megabits per second in 4K. And that is their freaking, that's just the top of the line for Sony right now. Now, yes, what saves Sony is 6K sampling. And it basically gives you a 4K sample from 6K. That is the only thing that makes Sony better than Canon when it comes to 4K. Other than that, I honestly believe that they would look the same. And I mean, yes, you can tell that Sony looks a little bit better in 4K, but in 1080p, unless you're zooming in 400 and 500%, you're not gonna tell the difference because of the compression rate when it comes to YouTube. They look identical. And honestly, sometimes I can look at freaking videos on YouTube and I can tell that one was shot with Canon in 1080p because of the higher bit rate. And I can tell the one that's been shot on 1080p in Sony. Sony just looks a little bit more compressed when it comes to YouTube. So when it comes to YouTube, guys, and you're looking at a camera, strongly consider the EOS R. Now, this ain't no damn commercial for Canon. I'm just giving you my user experience. Don't knock Canon. I love Sony and I love Canon, but when it strictly comes to YouTube content, I think something like the M50 or the Canon EOS R or the Canon EOS RP might be a better choice sometimes, because you're getting a lot of features in Canon that you're not going to get in Sony, like the flip out screen, like the higher bit rates when it comes to recording in 1080p. Like, those things truly do matter. And that's not to mention, honestly, the color science that does matter a lot. That saves you a lot of time on freaking color grading. Now, of course, if you're using C-Log and S-Log and things like that, you're gonna spend the same amount of time color grading footage. But for someone like me that likes to churn and burn and is just now getting into color grading their footage, and I'm not very good at it and I'm still learning, listen, using a picture profile that you can customize inside, it's just, yes, Sony is great, but Canon gets you better true to life colors with less hassle. It's just true. Again, Sony is so much better. The A7 III, the A6400 are amazing. They're really great cameras, and they're coming even closer to giving you great color science. But for now, Canon's still a little bit better. So guys, I've been using this for about a week and a half. I don't regret buying this bad boy at all. It has actually saved me a lot of time. I'm actually thinking about shooting multiple videos a day now. Where it comes to Sony, I wasn't thinking about that, because honestly, I love shooting time lapses, and that wasn't something that I was gonna do because of having to take the time and push them to Lightroom, edit, take them out of Lightroom, put them in Premiere Pro. No, I want something simple. I'm new. I'm trying to learn all this stuff. I want a product that's gonna help me learn, but not be a burden at the same time with a terrible menu system and all of the issues you have with Sony. Again, I love Sony to death. I love all of their products. I will never sell my A7 III, never, because I love it that much. But I've made a little room for the EOS R in my heart. And I'm looking forward to seeing what Canon and Sony comes out with. Because again, I'm a fan of both, guys. And I strongly suggest, don't be a fanboy. Just find the camera that works for you. If it's the A7 III, by all means, use it. If it's the Canon EOS R, by all means, use it. But don't let people dictate how you feel about stuff without you using it first. Because specs, again, don't tell the whole story. That is 100% fact, because I found out firsthand that the Canon is a really great camera for content creating. Until next time, guys.